everybody, could you use some good news? Well, let's start with this. SpaceX, the private company contracted by NASA to design and build next-generation vehicles for manned spaceflight, unveiled its latest spacecraft last week. The spacecraft is called the Dragon V2, and it's designed to transport astronauts back and forth to the International Space Station. It's large enough to carry up to 7 people, is reusable, and capable of making controlled landings as opposed to the parachute splashdown method used by earlier manned space capsules, such as the ones that carried astronauts to the moon during the Apollo program. The Dragon V2 still needs to be approved by NASA, though that seems likely given that the Dragon V1 is currently being used to ferry cargo to the ISS. The debut of the Dragon V2 comes right on the heels of the news that NASA's Space Launch System and Orion spacecraft, designed to transport astronauts to the moon and eventually to Mars, have passed early tests and are on track for unmanned testing starting in 2017 and manned flight beginning in 2021. NASA's decision whether or not to accept the Dragon V2 is expected to come in the summer of 2015. If accepted for NASA's Commercial Crew program, the Dragon's first manned flight could happen in 2017. Next up, a new study suggests that close involvement in parenting alters the brain activity of fathers in much the same way that it alters the brain activity of mothers. It's previously been demonstrated that motherhood alters the pattern of brain activity in women. Now, thanks to this new study conducted at Bar Ilan University and the University of Tel Aviv and published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, we know that the brains of fathers who are primary caregivers to their children undergo similar alterations. The study followed 3 groups of parents to firstborn infants: heterosexual primary caregiving mothers, heterosexual secondary caregiving fathers, and homosexual primary caregiving fathers parenting without maternal involvement. They found different regions of the brain activated in the primary caregiving mothers versus the secondary caregiving fathers, whereas the primary caregiving fathers showed increased brain activity in both parenting-related regions. In effect, the men who acted as primary caregivers were thinking like both a father and a mother. The results support what many advocates for the rights of both single parents and same-sex parent couples have said all along, that it's the closeness with the child, not the sex of the parent, that really matters. Finally, researchers at the University of Colorado Cancer Center are developing a breath test capable of detecting lung cancer. Results of a new study recently presented at the 50th Annual Meeting of the American Society for Clinical Oncology show that the test, which analyzes organic compounds in exhaled breath, can not only distinguish patients with lung cancer from patients with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, but it can also determine the stage of the cancer it detects. A device capable of detecting cancer from a patient's breath would revolutionize cancer screenings, but the developers at the CU Cancer Center say it could also be useful for evaluating the effectiveness of treatment by measuring changes in a patient's cancer over time. The next generation of American manned spaceflight vehicles is coming along nicely, thank you very much. A study shows that caring for children rewires the brains of men so they're able to think like both fathers and mothers, and researchers are developing a breath test capable of detecting lung cancer. And before I wrap things up, here's one last bit of good news that you might have heard about. Last week, LeVar Burton began a Kickstarter campaign to fund a web-based revival of Reading Rainbow with a goal of $1 million. The campaign reached that goal in less than 12 hours. The total currently stands at over $3 million raised, with a new goal set of $5 million. If you're interested in contributing, there's a link in the description of this video, or you can simply go to helpreadingrainbow.com. Donations are being accepted until July 2nd. Thanks to the greater-than-expected success of the Kickstarter campaign, the new Reading Rainbow app will be available on all major platforms and accessible to students in over 7,500 classrooms. And you don't have to take my word for it. That's the good news. Do you want me to read you a story, or should I just put you down?